Morning, children. I hope you're all doing well, that you're finding lots of things to do and you're keeping yourself busy. I miss being in school and I miss seeing you all. By the way, do you recognise me with my new hairstyle? I wasn't able to go to the hairdresser this week to get my hair blow dried straight, so I had to put rollers in. So now I'm all curly and I'm like Miss Piggy, and I hope I don't hear you laughing. Anyway, our value of the week this week is self-control. Does anybody know what self-control is? I'm listening. You know what I want you to do? Close your eyes and keep them closed for 10 seconds. So count to 10 in your mind and keep your eyes closed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many of you took a peek before the 10? If you did, well then you didn't have self-control. Self-control means waiting in line and waiting when it's your turn to do something. Or you know when we're in class and I ask a question, and sometimes what do I say? Put your hand up, and then I'll pick somebody. But sometimes some people are a little bit impatient and they shout out the answer. That's because they haven't got self-control. But we learn that as we get older. Anyway, self-control. You might need self-control to watch me here on the screen and to stay until the end of the story that I'm going to read. So I'm going to read a story now because Easter is coming up. It's my first story of Easter. Now, can any of you tell me, what do you call the person who writes the story? Then what do you call the person who draws the picture in the story? Yes. Now, the outside of the book is called the cover. Well done. And the name of the story is the... I'm not going to tell you the answer because when we're finished this, you can ask your mummies or your nannies, do they know? And I bet some of them won't know. Anyway, I'll read the story now. My first story of Easter. Jesus of Nazareth was the friend of many. He told great stories. He healed the sick and he did wonderful miracles. One day, there was an important festival announced, and it was to be in a place called Jerusalem. Jesus went with his 12 special friends. These were his apostles. Look. Now, Jesus borrowed a donkey and rode into Jerusalem, and the crowds were really excited. They shouted and they waved palm trees at him. See, look at all the palm. Do you know what day that we celebrate that? Palm Sunday, yes. But some of the priests didn't like Jesus and they were plotting to kill him. So, on Thursday, the day of the big festival, Jesus ate a special supper with his 12 apostles in an upstairs room in the inn. See them all there, look? There, look. That was called the Last Supper. At that supper, Jesus broke bread and he gave it to his friends and he said, "This is my body." He then took up the wine and he said, "This is my blood." But while this was happening, one of his friends, Judas, was plotting against him. And he crept out. Look at him creeping out there, look. Oh, he's not really a friend. I wonder what he's up to. Can anybody guess? After the supper, Jesus took his friends to a garden outside the city. And he said to them, "You stay here and pray while I go over there to pray." He wanted to pray to his Father. But as he was praying too, a crowd of Jesus' enemies appeared, led by Judas. Look, they're soldiers. And the soldiers took him away. They stood Jesus before the Roman ruler called Pontius Pilate. Jesus is a troublemaker, said the priest. He should be killed. I can find nothing wrong with him, said Pilate. But the people shouted, kill him, kill him. So Pilate sent Jesus to die. Cruel men pushed a crown made of thorns on Jesus' head. Then they led him out of the city. When they reached a hill, soldiers nailed Jesus to a wooden cross. They also put 2 robbers on either side of him on 2 separate crosses. But Jesus said, Father, to his Father in heaven, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. One robber asked, Jesus, remember me in heaven. And Jesus said, today you will be with me in heaven. At midday, the sky went really dark. This was Good Friday. You know when we celebrate Good Friday? 2 days before Easter Sunday. Jesus cried out and he died, and his family and friends watched on so sadly. But there was a good man called Joseph who took Jesus' body. He put it in a tomb and he rolled a huge stone across the door. See there? Early on the Sunday morning, which was Easter Sunday, some women went to the tomb, but the stone was rolled away and they couldn't see Jesus' body. Look, it's empty. Suddenly, 2 shining angels stood there. Jesus isn't here, one of them said. He is risen from the dead. The women rushed back to tell the disciples. At first they didn't believe the women, but then Jesus appeared to them. And after this, Jesus appeared to many of his friends. Once Jesus cooked breakfast for his disciples beside a lake, and a few weeks later he was taken up to heaven as all of his disciples watched. So he ascended into heaven. The reason we celebrate Easter is that we remember that Jesus died, and he died on the cross for us, and that he is actually alive forever. So you know when you have something to worry about, children, remember I told you, say a little prayer to Jesus. And our guardian angels, you know, all the people that we know that are up in heaven, we say a prayer to them, and they'll watch down and watch over us. So have a good day, and I hope to get back to you again. Oh, I forgot some work. Remember we learnt about doing recount. Recount. It's telling the story. What are the things we need to do? There's 4 things we need to do when we retell the story. We start off with saying, first we say what happened. Then next, what happened in this story. Then, what happened? And finally, at the end of the story. So remember I used to give you a sheet of paper with 4 boxes. If you want to, you can retell or recount this story by drawing 4 pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or most of you out there will be well able to write the story now. I would love it if you could write the story, write at least 1 sentence in each box, and also draw a picture. And it would be great then if I could find some way that you could upload this and put it on a Facebook page or something for me to see. Anyway, children, you can always ask your mummies or your daddies or your nannies, what do you call the person who writes the story? What do you call the person who draws the pictures? And I bet they won't know, and they'll be really impressed when you know. So that's the end of your work for today, and I hope to get back to you again in another couple of days. Bye! Mind yourselves.